Welcome to UNH Law's 43rd commencement. It's rainy outside, but it sure is sunny in here. I have heard tales of commencements past where apparently there was a snowstorm at one point, and I'm not sure if people are just trying to pull one over on the new dean, but graduates having to walk, uphill both ways to the park in feet of snow. But I'm grateful today that rain reminds us of new beginnings, and it certainly reminds us of spring in New England and mud season. As E.E. Cummings said, springtime is your time, is my time, is our time. And today is certainly your time, graduates. I want to acknowledge members of the Board of Trustees of the University System of New Hampshire who are here with us today. Jamie Burnett, Kathy Green, Ken Moulton, and Chris Pope. The board is dedicated to overseeing higher education in the University System of this state, and we thank them for their work and their dedication at a time when the principles of higher education are more important than ever. Also with us today are President Mark Huddleston and Interim Provost Wayne Jones. Also on the dais with me are our commencement speaker, the Honorable Tim Ryan, Congressman from Ohio, and our honorary degree recipient, recently retired Chief Justice Linda DeLanis. And our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Mike McCann, is with us as well, who I am honored to work with every day, and who has, with his expertise and work with Sports Illustrated, has dramatically increased my vocabulary of sports analogies in meetings. I also want to acknowledge Dean's Advisory Council members and alumni who are here with us: Judge Chuck Temple of Superior Court, Don Bonacore Atlas, IP Counsel for Calvin Klein, and retired New Hampshire Supreme Court Justice Carol Ann Conboy. So thank you. I also want to acknowledge our faculty, who without exception dedicate their time and energy and passion to you, the students, and to our staff, without whom nothing would happen at this law school. Our faculty and staff commit their time and hearts to student success, and I thank them for being here with us today. So how many parents do we have with us? As a parent of a kid in college who I swear was just born a few years ago, isn't it incredible to see these kids all grown up? Graduates, your parents, without a doubt, I know that they looked at you at some point when you were just tiny, and they wondered what you would be. What would happen to you? What would you be like when you were older? And what would your career path be? They helped you to learn to read and write. They taught you the value of an education. They've celebrated with you, and they have mourned with you your successes and your disappointments. Let's take a moment to thank your parents for all they have done for you. Now, friends and significant others, children and other family members, where are you? You have stuck by these law students even when they started to speak in tongues, strange Latin phrases like res ipsa loquitur and quid pro quo. When they started to change the way they argued with you personally by saying something was, negligence, a duty of care, or they detrimentally relied on you to do something. So thank you for sticking with them, and I think you should probably now get free legal advice from them, because it's probably the least they can do for you going forward. So graduates, let's take a moment to thank them as well. Celebrating with us today is also the JD class of 1978, which is here to celebrate its 40th reunion and has marched in the processional. This class has stayed closely connected to each other and to the law school over the last 40 years. And judging by the video that I saw last night, it looks like they had a lot of fun when they were here in school. Dance reviews, all kinds of an exciting time. You know, when you think of a startup, you know, kind of in a garage, piecing itself together, you know, this law school really is kind of the Apple of legal education. One of the things that struck me in the video that I watched, which was kind of a compilation oral history by the members of the class, Chris Dermer mentioned that he interviewed with Kathy Green and Jim Conway, who had come before him, and he said, you know, why should I come to this school? And they said, we're starting a law school, and we want you to be a part of it. And he said, sold. So this class, those early classes, were so much a part of the spirit, the pioneering spirit of taking legal education in a different direction. This class was the third class to graduate, and they started in a bull barn, and they ended up at this beautiful campus on White Street. And I hope all of you feel proud of the school that you helped to create, with the highest employment now of all New England law schools, the highest jump in the rankings of all top 100 schools. We are so happy you're here to celebrate this day with us, and grateful to have the opportunity also to celebrate you. So thank you for all you did for all of us. One member of the class of 1978, I mentioned a little while ago, is Justice Carol Ann Conboy. She's one of the first alumni I met at the law school when I interviewed. And she has done so much for the law school and for the legal system in New Hampshire. Justice Conboy, would you come up and say a few words?
Notwithstanding that the New Hampshire Constitution required me to retire because I turned 70, the limp is not because I'm 70. It is because I turned my ankle crossing the street in downtown Concord a week ago. I'm going to get better because I'm going to Paris in 5 days. President Huddleston, Dean Carpenter, distinguished faculty, honored guests, and class of 2018. Today I stand before you, privileged to represent my class, the Franklin Pierce Law Center class of 1978. It is my great pleasure to extend our heartiest congratulations to you on this 40th anniversary of our graduation from this unique school. We hope that our presence today will assure you and your parents, spouses, and significant others that there really is life after law school. Milestones, of course, are always bring reflections on the past because the past serves as the foundation for the future. I hope you will indulge me as I reflect on the past that we now all share. My classmates and I started our law school days in the summer of 1975 as we gathered in an unlikely building on Mountain Road in East Concord, a former bull breeding farm. As you did, I suspect, we opened that first law book containing what seemed to be a foreign language with high hopes and much trepidation. We were quite the assortment. Veterans returning from the Vietnam War, middle-agers wanting to make dramatic life changes, parents of children who would make this journey with us, daring non-poli-sci types who hope to make that law-science connection. We all, in our disparate ways, heard the siren call of a law school in its infancy. We, your legal ancestors, along with President Robert Rines and Dean Robert Viles, were risk takers, and we bet it all on a quirky place we affectionately called Frank's. In so many ways, the makeshift nature of that odd building influenced how we learned the law. Keep in mind, these were the days before computers, iPhones, fax machines. Such new age machinery was a distant vision. And so there was no hiding behind laptop covers when a professor asked an uncomfortable question. There was only one large classroom. The seating in that room divided the class in half. Each half faced the other with a kind of runway down the middle, down which our professors strode. Young Joe Dickinson, old Don Simpson, relentless Dick Hesse, incomparable Dane Buck, Jim Duggan, AKA Don Quixote. And of course, there was our contracts professor, Dean Viles, that three-piece suited, tall, thin, inscrutable man with a Van Dyke beard, making a fashion statement long before his time. Ironically, the odd configuration of that classroom encouraged our awakening impulse to advocacy. We looked at each other. We argued with each other. We learned from each other. But there was no ruthless competition. In our paper chase, we rooted each other on and celebrated each other's successes. In some ways, my classmates became an extension of my family. They cheerfully adopted my young son, who often accompanied me to class. He felt at home, not only in that classroom, but in our fledgling library, where he liked to help my classmates make copies on the only copier in the building. In the little rooms, formerly bull stalls, that served as extensions of the library, where he enjoyed chatting with my classmates while sitting cross-legged on the floor because there were not enough chairs. In a questionable basement that housed our cafeteria, where he relished the Nail Brothers' homemade soup, always simmering on a 2-burner hot plate. Outside, where he frequently pestered my classmates for a game of touch football. I knew he was safe in their hands. During those early days, I didn't appreciate our school's commitment to making the law live through student interaction. I was frequently frustrated by the seemingly endless game of legal ping pong. Our professors never tired of batting legal concepts from one student to another, and they never explained the rules. I was one of those students who began the study of law assuming that there were beginnings and endings, and that there were right answers. Our intrepid professors, of course, delighted in quashing those assumptions. And over the years, they helped me and many students like me come to understand that the fabric of the law truly is seamless. Eventually, of course, the school moved to this wonderful campus, and Franks grew up. We are so proud of where the school is today. Our merger with the University of New Hampshire speaks of the tremendous success of our journey and the abiding future of our school. Our culture, though, remains rooted in that long ago place on a mountain road. Class of 2018, in a few moments, you will join us in that lengthening line of alumni who are part of this very special community. You will continue our tradition of intolerance for any force working to undermine the integrity of our profession. That intolerance nurtures the development of lawyers who care about the people they serve, who see the profession as more than lucrative business, who give more than they get. In short, who make a difference. So, class of 2018, the class of 1978 wishes you well as you make your way in our beloved profession. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Conboy. You know, law schools historically have often been isolated from the rest of higher education. And I'm not sure why that is, really. I think in some ways it's because of the accrediting body of the ABA. In some ways it's, you know, all of us lawyers kind of keeping that legal education as a thing that's precious and separate. But it is my strong belief that the proper place for a law school is in the context of a university. Law is inherently interdisciplinary. It cannot be separated from various subjects, different disciplines. It is part of all disciplines. And it really provides the framework within which we live our lives every day as subjects and objects. There are legal implications across all kinds of curricular subjects, and really it is President Mark Huddleston's vision of the importance of a law school to a state flagship university that resulted in the law school becoming part of the University of New Hampshire. For this vision, all of us here can be thankful. Since being elected president in 2007, Mark Huddleston has helped to guide university-wide success in academics, in research, in physical infrastructure, and has directed UNH's largest fundraising campaign ever. A couple of months after he hired me, he announced his retirement, which I'm trying not to take personally. But I want all of us here today to take a moment to thank President Huddleston for his forward-thinking vision. While you're working to play golf with former UNH Law Dean John Hudson in Florida, we are going to be here working to realize your vision every day and make you proud.
Thank you very much, Megan, for that nice introduction. And welcome, everyone. Congratulations to the class of 2018 and to all the people that got you here. I know Megan has already thanked the families and the faculty and the staff and everybody else, but it really is a team effort, I know, to get you to this place. And we all appreciate the efforts that those team members made. And Megan, I've got to say, I didn't leave because you were coming. It almost stayed my hand and had me delay a little bit. But I congratulate you not only on a great first year stewarding the law school, but by making it through a New Hampshire winter. And that's a pretty big deal for somebody who came directly from Texas. I thought about being cruel and telling you it was an especially mild winter, but it actually wasn't. It was kind of nasty. Anyway, the future certainly is bright for this class of 2018. As students, you learned at one of the best law schools in the country, in my view, and you helped make it even better. As Megan said, our rank among the nation's top 100 law schools climbed 15 places this year, which is unprecedented. And in the area of IP law, we are in the top 10 in the nation for the 27th year in a row. We can't brag about that enough, I think. You thrived on the cutting edge of innovative legal education, and you earned your degrees at an institution that boasts some of the highest bar passage and job placement rates in the nation. Today, you can put the books aside and celebrate your journey, and you can find inspiration for your path from our keynote speaker and UNH Law alumnus, Congressman Tim Ryan. The world is eager for your talent, and we are excited to follow your successes, and we look forward to welcoming you back as proud alumni of the University of New Hampshire School of Law. So congratulations, graduates, and thank you, everyone. I now invite Dean Megan Carpenter back up to tell you about the tradition of our Advice from the Faculty message. Thank you.
One of our longest lasting traditions is that every year since the first graduating class, students have voted to have a faculty member give them advice. Buzz Scher is a nationally recognized expert in criminal law and in forensic DNA evidence. He also teaches criminal procedure and evidence here at the law school. And you know, one of the funniest things about sort of realizing Buzz's impact on students and presence in the classroom is that I was getting a list of, admitted students and have their schedules of when they were going to visit, and, come see the law school and check out a few, talk to students and visit a class. And I saw on this list that that the students were going to participate in evidence class. And I just thought, evidence? Like, that's the most boring subject imaginable. The federal rules of evidence do not make a good selling point. And so when I asked, really, is this really where we want to send prospective students? They said, no, it's Professor Scher. He does a great job, and that is exactly where we want our admitted students coming to get a taste of what it's like at the law school. One of the things that distinguishes our faculty is, and I always say this, that our faculty doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And Buzz is a great example of that. He tries cases, testifies before the legislature, and is honored nationally for his work. Every once in a while, I'll call him and he'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't respond to that email yesterday. I was trying a case." And then suddenly I'll read about it on Slate or in the New York Times. Buzz is also an innovative thinker and an institution builder, and he has been a leader in online distance education, both in the law school and nationally. And he's soon going to be receiving an ACLU Bill of Rights Award for his work on debtors' prisons in New Hampshire. As an example of his dedication to students, twice a year he also solicits donations from the faculty so that students can afford to go to the ACLU dinners and he's persistent in advocating for student interests. Buzz, I welcome you to the stage and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
So I want to first thank the graduating class for demonstrating spectacularly poor judgment in electing me as the faculty speaker. I'm not sure what that was about. So when I was my first history class at college, the first paper I wrote was like a 5-page paper, and I got it back, and there was a failing grade on the paper, and I was a history major, by the way. And the professor wrote only this on the paper: "The myth persists that Abraham Lincoln wrote the Gettysburg Address on the back of an envelope. I suggest you not follow that practice in this class." So this is not an envelope. I just want to point that out, but it's pretty close. I have to say it's particularly delightful to be on the stage with Representative Ryan. He has a sense of what's coming now. Usually I ask students to stand up when I'm talking about them, but I'm going to let that lie. So I had Representative Ryan. He was only known as Tim back then. In 2 classes, I had him in evidence, and I had him in trial advocacy. He's already covering his face now. And I also supervised his externship in Ohio, where apparently, at least my belief was, he was in Ohio for the entire spring semester of his 3rd year. Is that true? Yeah, he actually was there. So what I thought I'd do before I get to you all and give you advice, which I think is the point of this, and I only have like 40 more minutes, so I'll try and speed up, is I'll tell you tell you some stories of what Tim was like in class and the kinds of things he did in class. Well, maybe we should pass that. I'll put that aside and let him be for now. So I have 3 kinds of advice. Pretty straightforward. Number 1, listen well in your professional and personal lives. Number 2, speak confidently. And number 3, I have to look at my notes now, show people, don't tell people. So let me go back to the first. Listen well. We're training you all to speak well. We've trained you all to be obnoxious and aggressive and, be the first talker and all that stuff. You've let that slip into your relationships, I know, as Dean Carpenter referred to, and that's become a problem. And so I'm going to suggest to you, this is the brief serious moment in this, that you start listening now that you are lawyers, because you're going to learn way more from listening to people and from other people than you are from talking to people. It's really hard to listen well. For those of you who are going to be trial lawyers, the single hardest thing to do as a trial lawyer is when you ask the witness a question, particularly on cross-examination, you actually listen to what the witness answer is. Nobody can do that their first 5 or 10 years as a trial lawyer. And it's true that you learn more from listening than from talking. And the collective wisdom that other people have, if you'll listen to it, even people you don't like, even people who are on the other side professionally, you'll learn a lot from that, far more than you're going to teach yourself over your years as a professional. So listen well. Second, speak confidently. Pretty much the only reason that Congressman Ryan is a congressman now and so successful is because of the quality of the trial ad professor he had while at Franklin Pierce Law Center. We'll see with his commencement speech whether he's carried that through. This is kind of a late test for him. But speak confidently. And the way you speak confidently is, again, the hardest thing to do when you're trying to speak confidently is leave stuff out. You only speak about that which you can embrace with confidence and that you can talk with certainty about, as much certainty as you can get. The other stuff, just leave it out. The less you talk, the better you are in speaking confidently and the more persuasive you are. And finally, show people, don't tell people. As impressive as each of you are and as all of you are, now, of course, I could call out certain personal ones of you, but the list is way too long. So it may well be true that you think you are pretty much the smartest person in the room and the greatest person there is. If that's true, you don't need to tell people that. Just saying. You will show it by the way you carry yourself. And that's maybe the most important thing. Now, the good news is this. If you follow these 3 rules, these are, some of I have 2,500 rules of life, as many of you know, and these are 3 of them. Listen well, speak confidently, and show people, don't tell people. If you follow these 3 rules, all but those of you who didn't take evidence from me have a chance of becoming a U.S. congressman, like Representative Ryan. So thank you all and congratulations.
The students also elect peers to address them at commencement. Vijaya Natarajan is a diligent and dedicated student who was voted by her peers to be today's graduate student speaker. Vijaya is a woman who is passionate about learning. And she came from a background where educating girls was rare. And today, she's here, earning her LLM degree. Vijaya comes to us from TMT Law Practice, a boutique law firm in India, where she focuses on technology and media law. Do you want to come to the stage now?
Thank you for this honor. Good afternoon, greetings, friends, family, professors, faculty, staff, alumni, and honored guests, and the most illustrious graduating class of 2018. I would like to begin with a quote of Maya Angelou, which says, "This is a wonderful day. I have never seen one before." It sums everything. When I saw the mail from Dean Fran, 100% chances of rain. Wear sensible shoes. That was added to it. I come from India. In India, when it rains, we consider it to be blessing. But this is America. People are sensible. It's India. What is so special about this day? I think it's very special because the message that you and me would take from here today. It just seems like yesterday when we all arrived here. If I would have said this last week, I'm sure all of you would have glared at me. But it's done. Can you imagine? We have all done it. We all have done it. I think we need an applause. Experiencing different seasons over here was a big transformation for international students like me. But also experiencing transformation in academics was a task. It was a very tough task, like the task of standing here and talking in front of a big audience. I realize when I'm here how difficult it would be for some of our professors who have had huge numbers of students in class. And let me tell you, the audience has been very dynamic because we ask a lot of questions. It would have been really tough. I realized it after coming over here, but I've never asked any questions in my class. It's been a wonderful journey of lifetime of experiences. And I think all of us have different takeaways that we have from this place that we are going to leave. I just wanted to talk something about UNH and my journey. Then I realized, how do I start? Encapsulating the entire journey in 5 minutes is very tough. But I have learned at UNH, timeline, maintain your timelines. So trying to do that, forgive me if my speech is awful. I've always learned in India that whenever you say you're a lawyer or you're from a law school, you're studying, we always get some glaring looks. Ah, lawyer. Oh, lawyer. Interesting. Nobody says, oh, law school. They don't take it pretty easily. I thought the perspective was only in India. But when I came here, it was nothing much different. Even here, lawyers are considered to be a different flock totally. I would like to share Malcolm Ford, what he was telling about his father to his preschool classmates. He said, my daddy, Harrison Ford, is a movie actor. Sometimes he's a good guy. Sometimes he's the lawyer. How can you define and describe? This is the interpretation of this profession. But let me tell you, I am very proud to be a lawyer. I cannot imagine myself in any other profession than this. Maybe, people think that law is a very tough profession. No, it's one of the best professions that brings change in the society. It brings transformation. When we talk about transformation, I think the history has taught us about transformation, right from Barack Obama to Mahatma Gandhi. I would like to narrate a particular incident which may not be well known about Mahatma Gandhi. It was in the year 1893 when Mahatma Gandhi graduated from London Law School and he got an assignment at South Africa. He was supposed to appear in Pretoria Court for a commercial dispute. And when he was traveling, he was asked to not undertake the journey by the conductor. And that particular day changed his life. Because of that particular incident, he created the biggest change, which is eternally remembered even now. He became the father of the nation. You see, history remembers Mahatma Gandhi, but nobody remembers the conductor. Change makers create history. So this is a profession that really helps us. So now summing about the profession, what am I going to talk about UNH? I was just thinking, I thought I'm not going to say whatever I have learned here. I'm going to say whatever UNH has brought a change within me and within other students. If I have to talk about the 3 verticals that UNH is famous about, patent, copyright, and trademark, I think it has helped us motivate, inventive, innovative, lifetime experiences with diverse cultural background. I talked patent. It also taught how to measure our success in a fixed, tangible medium with our own thought process and our own belief with our own confidence, creating a beautiful relationship globally in our thoughts. I'm done with copyrights. And eventually, it facilitated creating UNH products, which we are all going to take as goodwill ambassadors and follow the path of the alumni network. I have a bunch of people in my country, all from this proud institution, and I'm so happy to be part of it. I've done trademark. So these are the three verticals in which UNH has created a change. It would not be appropriate if I just talk about academics and don't talk about the non-scholastic area which UNH has helped. I personally felt that every person associated with UNH has been extremely helpful, extremely nurturing, and extremely mentoring. They have, given us a platform to become much more self-aware within ourselves. Cannot forget the free food, the lunch and learn sessions. But mind you, there was a sustainable similarity. Every organizer had his own menu recipes. Some foods come from Checkmate, some would come from Food Co-op. So it depends on the organizer. So we would try to pick up, food that was from the co-op. The ever happy jury box, traditions, American traditions, which was very new to us. Every day was celebration. Every season was celebrated. There have been some special gifts by some professors during special seasons, which was all new to us. Thanksgiving, Halloween, dog parade. It was new. I have never seen dog parade. And then if they leave all this, they don't even forget that, endurance is required during exams. So run now. So you have to run. So there was a running race too. They have had all different innovative way of keeping us totally occupied. And there have been so many small things like the reception desk, the library coffee, the raffles in the library. I think UNH has got one of the biggest treasure trove of intellectual property resources at library, which, mind you, I haven't used much. But it has. And we have spent a lot of special moments of togetherness with friends from different cultural backgrounds. And I would like to thank, there are so many invisible family and friends who have supported each one of us, including me, to stand here today. Without their support, they are in different countries, we wouldn't have made this journey possible today. I think they really need an applause in different countries they are. And last but not the least, I always admired the UNH ID which said, "My UNH." Isn't it very significant? We don't realize it till we leave. I think my UNH has created our voice and our home for all of us. So when we go from here, let us take a lot of assets of happiness. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Wishing all of you all most and more on this special happy day. Thank you.
Richard Steele is a medical doctor in the field of anesthesiology. He comes to us from Concord Hospital and is now equipped to identify the many legal issues at the exploding intersection of healthcare and the law, which is one of our areas of specialty here at UNH. After graduation, he's going to be practicing at Catholic Medical Hospital, where he'll gain additional experience in the field of anesthesia and also hopes to do some expert witness work. Rich is really well liked by his classmates and respected by his peers. And I also understand that he hosted an end-of-the-year bash at the Barley House, but I don't really know because I didn't get an invitation. but he was voted by his peers to be our JD student speaker. Rich?
Good afternoon. In keeping with the theme of the weather, I will not complain about it. I'd like to take it as an opportunity, because as I look out and see the family and friends who have supported us for the past 3 years, not only have they done that, they have showed up today in this lovely weather to support us and celebrate our graduation. So let's give them one more round of applause. I also want to thank the faculty who have tolerated the obvious fact that I am an adult learner, and also guided us, pushed us to be more, to do better. Thank you. My classmates, thank you for selecting me to speak today. More than that, thank you for making me a part of this group. And it is an amazing group. We have history majors, political science majors, language majors. We have people in our class from the United States and international students. We have scientists, engineers, business people. We have criminal justice majors. One of our classmates was a law enforcement officer before beginning law school. We have veterans who were deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Oh, right back at you. We have a PhD student in our class, not a PhD in our class, excuse me. And myself, a physician. I came to the conclusion that the law had become such a powerful influence in the practice of medicine that I needed to go to law school, and I was right. One of the things that has meant the most to me is to be able to help my classmates with my medical knowledge, not just to explain cases in torts or health law, but to help you individually with questions for yourself or your family members. As a physician, that means a lot to me. And you have listened to my stories for the past 3 years. Not only have you listened to my stories, you have encouraged me to write them down and have them published, and I will take you up on that. Which brings me to the story I want to tell today. It's a poem that I read when I was about 15. To ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth. These were the ancient laws of youth. Old times are past, old days are done, but the laws run true, O little son. Charles T. Davis wrote that poem, but the 3 laws are credited all the way back to 450 BC to a Greek historian named Herodotus. Charles T. Davis chose the word son as the last word of the poem. I think everyone should learn to ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth. I won't spend much time on the first 2 laws. We don't ride horses anymore for transportation, but I do think there is a lot of merit to learning to ride, to learning the responsibility of taking care of animals. One of the faculty, Professor Patricia Morris, specializes in animal law, and she has horses and she rides, and I'll refer you to her as another resource to take advantage of. The second law, shoot straight. I mean no disrespect to victims of shootings, but the self-control, the self-discipline, that comes with learning to shoot responsibly is an attribute that we could use more of. One of our classmates, Tim LaChance, works for SIG here in New Hampshire. They operate a training facility in Epping, and if you are so inclined, I think it is one of the finest training facilities in the world, and you should take advantage of it. I want to spend my time on the third law, speak the truth. We are attorneys. We advocate for clients. We will write contracts and wills and trusts. We will practice intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights. We will help draft legislation that will become law and administrative regulations that will have the effect of law. Some of us may become judges, and we will decide what evidence is admissible and what evidence is not. That is a lot of power. And to borrow a line from my advanced trial advocacy teammates, with great power comes great responsibility. We have been taught, we have been trained to precisely choose our words, to concisely communicate exactly what we mean, except when we want to be vague or ambiguous. Here's the thing. We have to make the truth matter, because if the truth does not matter, then those precise words will not matter. And if the words do not matter, then the law will not matter. Some of us have been to places where the law does not matter. That is not why we are here. That is not what we are about. I realize we have an adversarial system of justice. I am not suggesting that the defense attorneys should suddenly start having their clients confess. What I am saying is that we have an opportunity every day to make the truth matter. When you speak with your children and your spouses, when you speak with your clients and your colleagues, when we speak to judges, we have an opportunity to make the truth matter. We have the power to make the truth matter. And that opportunity is one more reason for me to say it is a wonderful life. Thank you for selecting me to speak today. I wish you all happiness and success. We have worked hard, we have earned this, and I am proud to be a member of the class of 2018. Ride, shoot straight, and speak the truth.
Thanks, Rich. Recently retired Chief Justice Linda Zelenis was the first female judge of the Superior Court, the first female justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, and the first female Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Also among her crowning achievements was largely being responsible for the creation of the Daniel Webster Scholars Program. The Daniel Webster Program is a bar alternative program here at UNH, and there is nothing like it in the country. When I was in Texas before I came here, I knew that the state Supreme Court had asked Professor John Garvey to come and talk to them about the program and how maybe they could think about setting up something similar. Many states would like to emulate this program, and yet nobody has yet figured out how to do it. When I go to dean's meetings at the ABA, alternative licensing and the bar exam is something that is a big topic of conversation. And what's also common is that I walk into a room and then they say, hey, there's the dean from New Hampshire. Like we have it figured out, and they just can't quite get there. A national study showed that practicing Webster scholars are years ahead of the curve in the practice of law. The program is really doing something right. And what I would say to the Supreme Court of Texas is you can't do it without someone like Chief Justice Linda Delanis. It takes a unique vision and a collaboration with the bar and the bench and a law school, all together, working together to create a program like this. And there is no school that I'm aware of in the country that has a relationship like we have, so integrated with the bar and the bench. And Chief Justice Delanis was collaborative and strategic and visionary in moving this project forward. This program simply would not have happened if it weren't for her. Chief Justice, we are honored today to present you with an honorary degree, and we just really hope that you don't take it to Texas or any other states and start this program there. Let's see where it's down here. I was looking around for it, and it's right here. The University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the recommendation of the dean and faculty, hereby confers on Linda Stewart Delanis in recognition of her distinguished service as Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, her national leadership and innovation in legal education that led to the creation of the Daniel Webster Scholar Honors Program, the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws, and all of the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining to this degree, given at Concord, New Hampshire, United States of America on the 19th day of May, 2018.
Congratulations. I should just say thank you, really.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, President Huddleston. I'm retired now, so I don't have to give speeches anymore, which is a really good thing. People keep asking me, well, now you're retired, which I have to say, and Justice Conboy will back me up on this, neither of us would be but for the New Hampshire Constitution of 1793. What are you going to do now that you're retired? Are you going to teach law? I said, well, wait a minute, that's too much like work. But I got an idea today. I think I might move to Texas and become a consultant. Anyway, thank you all very much.
United States Congressman Tim Ryan graduated from the law school in the year 2000. He's currently serving his 8th term in the U.S. House of Representatives and serves as a member on the House Appropriations Committee and co-chairs the Congressional Manufacturing Caucus. One of the most striking things about Congressman Ryan's career to me is what a staunch advocate he is for working families. He has worked to support economic and community development, to revitalize American cities. And if at this school we focus on not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, Congressman Ryan is an excellent example of that. He's a supporter of making college more affordable and has been vocal in seeking solutions to the opioid crisis, which has dramatically affected Ohio as it has New Hampshire. He's an advocate for improving the health and well-being of people and has written 2 books. The first one is A Mindful Nation, How a Simple Practice Can Help Us Reduce Stress, Improve Performance, and Recapture the American Spirit. The second one is The Real Food Revolution, Healthy Eating, Green Groceries, and the Return of the American Family Farm. Both addressing issues that impact real Americans every day. You know, one thing that strikes me is at the end of each chapter in his books, he has this little section. It's a short section called What You Can Do, with simple action items. And I think that's a really good example of his approach. It's inclusive, it's thoughtful, it's civic-minded, and it is action-oriented. I thought of this recently as I have moved from a small farm where we had kind of a big garden to a house and a work schedule that doesn't quite permit a big garden. And so one of his action items in Real Food was, everyone can start a garden, no matter your space or your time. So we have a couple of half barrels and planted some tomatoes, and someday in August, as I sit eating a homegrown tomato sandwich, I will be thanking you. Congressman Ryan, we are honored to have you here to celebrate with us today.
Thank you so much, Dean Carpenter, President Huddleston. Buzz, thank you for being gentle. Respected members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, students, parents, special guests, and of course, most especially, the graduating class of 2018. It's an honor for me to stand before you on this important day at this remarkable law school in this extraordinary state of New Hampshire. I'm honored to be a graduate of this school because this school broke the mold. It was ahead of its time. Not only did it focus on the emerging needs of intellectual property lawyers before any other institution, but it was the first law school in America to drop the pomp from the study of law. Professors were to be called by their first names. Every hour was an office hour. Teachers cared about us, joked with us, shaped and instilled in us the belief that we were to not just make money, but we were to make a difference in the lives of others. This school, our school, was anti-establishment, and we are all better off because of it. So I am here today to put the call to you, the call for you to embody all that this school is and has been, to be innovative, to have the courage to go against the grain, to believe you can make this country and world a better place. Like the founders of this school, we need you to be excited by the challenges of our time, not paralyzed by them. And today we live in a paralyzed and polarized world, a world that seems stuck and incapable of meeting the tremendous challenges of our time. Our challenges are many. An economic system that has almost half of our fellow citizens unable to afford the basic necessities of life. A healthcare system that spends 2.5 times more money than any other industrialized country, and we get worse results. In 2018, we've seen more people killed at schools than in the military. Half of our country has diabetes or prediabetes. If unchanged, our planet will increase by 6 degrees Celsius in the next 70 years, maybe quicker. We have huge algae blooms in our Great Lakes, a dead zone at the mouth of the mighty Mississippi River, and an opiate epidemic that ravages states like New Hampshire and Ohio. 2 competitors in Russia and China that are challenging the status and the position of the United States. The world you are entering is much different than the world that existed in 1973 when this school was founded. But its founders have given us a roadmap on how to deal with these tumultuous times. And here's what I think this school has shown us: to believe, to be brave, and to be together. In his best-selling book, Sapiens, the historian Yuval Noah Harari ponders why humans, and not some other species, evolved to run the world. We're not the biggest species on the planet. We're not the strongest. We don't have the biggest population. What we had, what we still have, Mr. Harari says, that sets us apart is the ability to share common beliefs. Beliefs in things we cannot see. Take money, for example. A dollar bill is only worth something because we say it is. Corporations only exist because we imagined a legal entity that would give us a way to grow wealth and employ people. Religions are based on collective beliefs. The force of our collective beliefs are very powerful. And so we need to decide what we believe in. I say, first and foremost, we must believe in ourselves, our own genius, our own ability to make dreams a reality. We must believe in our ability to shape the world, that our own vitality, our own life force can bend the world towards justice, economic opportunity for all, and for peace. I think we need to believe that we can get back on track as a country, that we must believe in each other, work for each other, and yes, love each other. As we tell our 3 children, you're not always going to like each other, but you must always love each other. I've played on a lot of sports teams, and all of the ones that have ever been successful are the ones in which the members of the team absolutely loved and cared about each other. And I will tell you the same thing about our country. We don't always have to like each other. I'm Irish. There's the old Irish saying, is this a private fight or can anyone get into it? But we must always love each other. We must care about each other, feel compassion for each other, and we must sacrifice for each other. And if we don't, then this great experiment in democracy will continue to unravel. What do we have to believe in to get us out of the swamp? To answer this question, it may be instructive for us to revisit another period of time when we were stuck. Edwin Freeman was a family therapist, a rabbi, a visionary. And in his book, A Failure of Nerve, he charts the human course out of the Dark Ages. He says that the Dark Ages happen at times when leaders cannot separate themselves from the society's emotional climate. Leaders who are stuck in fear, anger, and personal insecurities. Leaders who just can't break free. Though he was writing about a time 600 years ago, just listen to Friedman's list of indicators of a society stuck in the Dark Ages, and let's see how we compare. Number 1, people are stuck on a treadmill, trying harder and harder every day to get ahead, but getting nowhere. Check. Society is stuck grappling to find new answers, but only to old questions. Check. And number 3, people are polarized, thinking only in black or white terms, making all or nothing decisions. Check. As a member of Congress, I have seen Friedman's gridlock firsthand. The stagnation in governance, the special interest stranglehold on public policy, the dogged reliance on social programs that haven't evolved, the cultural polarization, and economic stagnation that marginalizes so many in the world. The devastation of our stuckness is felt in every corner of our country and around the world. And it has made the world more unfair, more dangerous, and less kind. So what carried us out of the Dark Ages? Friedman says it wasn't more information. It wasn't another data point. It wasn't even intellect, Friedman argued. He says it was the bravery of the great navigators. The great explorers of the time didn't always even really know where they were going. They only knew they were going on an adventure. Their adventures were fueled by courage, the courage to face the unknown, the bravery to put their lives on the line, the audacity to leave fear in their wake. The adventures of those dark times led to discoveries never dreamed of and turned the world upside down. We learned that the Atlantic Ocean isn't a lake, the equator isn't where we thought it was, and that the Americas aren't China. These adventurers began to change the world view of people. And the courage of the explorers inspired others of that time to question the realities, the orthodoxies, and the set ways of the world. It was just a few years later that we realized the sun was the center of the universe, not the earth. Breathtaking art swept across Europe. We invented the printing press, the scientific method, the microscope, telescope, eyeglasses. Later, the world's most powerful republic was born on the land happened upon by Europeans a few hundred years before. So here we stand in New Hampshire, a state which has a unique role in our country's history. As graduates of this great university, you are the heirs of those brave adventurers. Then, as now, Friedman warns that human life can reach a point of gridlock if leaders lack the emotional tools of imagination and bravery. Friedman saw today coming. So I stand here today to tell you in no uncertain terms, we need you to have the courage to go on an adventure that will transform you and will transform our world. To go against all the odds, to disrupt the status quo, to elevate yourself from the dysfunction and toxicity that surrounds us, you, in your own life, by having the courage to walk your own path, will be a vital force to help pull us out of this mess. How do you do this? How do you know what your adventure is? My recommendation is to follow the advice of the great comparative mythologist Joseph Campbell. You follow your bliss. Campbell said that if you follow your bliss and don't be afraid, that doors will open for you that you never thought were there. And that would never even open for anyone else. Following your bliss converts potential energy into kinetic energy. And our collective energy is exactly what this country needs to power a more conscious capitalism and a more compassionate country. There are also other elements of stuckness. There's a great quote by C.S. Lewis that he writes about in the Screw Tape Letters about how the devil views the world. And the devil says that he wants a world of noise if he is to take over. That heaven is either music or silence. And the devil goes on to say, we will make the whole universe a noise. The melodies and silences of heaven will be shouted down. So the devil's goal is noise. In order for evil to prevail over good, there must be noise. And one of the things that keeps us perpetually stuck here in the United States, perhaps more than any other time in human history, is that we are all suffering from an overabundance of noise. We are lost in all the bells and whistles of modern life. We have more information at our fingertips than we could ever hope to process, enough to keep us consumed by so much noise that we never have to live with ourselves or with those around us. This constant distraction leads to disconnection from our environment, disconnection from our neighbors, and most importantly, disconnected from ourselves. Let the noise and distractions go on long enough, and the disconnection leads to disdain for anyone who looks different, thinks different, and lives different than we do. We've become so in love with our distractions that we've forgotten one simple, important truth. Underneath all the noise, we are all the same. We are all human beings. We are all members of the human family. We all share the same hopes and the same dreams for ourselves, for our families, for our children. Unfortunately, now we even define ourselves by our distractions. You read the Wall Street Journal, while I read the New York Times. You watch Fox News. I watch MSNBC. You listen to country music. I listen to classical music. Your media pulls you further to the left. My media pulls me further to the right. But as Jim Wallace, the great theologian, said, don't go further to the left. Don't go further to the right. We all need to go deeper. And in this depth, we experience the underlying unity of life. And as Martin Luther King so eloquently said, in a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I could never be what I ought to be if you cannot be what you ought to be. This, my friends, is the interrelated structure of reality. We cannot understand how connected we are if we are caught up in the noise. And so choosing decisively to have some quiet time in a world full of noise is a radical act. It's an act of rebellion in a world that seems to have gone mad. And we are living in a moment that calls out for leaders who are wiser, smarter, and bigger than our problems. We need leaders who are established in that underlying unity of life so that they can see the differences and diversity, whether in language, the color of our skin, sexual orientation, cultural inflections, or political beliefs are our greatest strengths. And the diversity not only gives us a competitive advantage in the global economy, but it also enriches our lives and our communities in countless ways. And it's that diversity that has made America a strong and resilient country for 242 years. So in closing, your education has prepared you to take your place among those leaders who are redefining the rules and changing the way we see things. And our nation and our world desperately needs you. We gathered here today to honor and celebrate the power you now have. You have been trained to uphold our nation's laws and advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. And I challenge you to do something with it. Please don't keep your talent to yourselves. As President Kennedy wrote in Profiles in Courage, he celebrated stories of great political courage. But he knew the difference between studying something and doing something. The stories of past courage, Kennedy wrote, can teach, they can offer hope, they can provide inspiration, but they cannot supply courage itself. For this, each man or woman must look into his or her own soul. 18 years ago, I was sitting exactly where you're sitting today. And I know that the University of New Hampshire Law School has instilled in you the same courage it instilled in me, to believe that we could make a difference, to imagine the world as it should be, and the strength to take us out of the dark ages and into a future we can be proud of. Graduates of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, no matter the challenges, answer the call and lead us to the next renaissance for our country and for the world. And as the old Native American saying tells us, as you go the way of life, you will come to a great chasm. Jump. It's not as far as you think. Graduates, lead and take us on an adventure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congressman Ryan. If I could have the degree awarding folks all here. Okay.
Going to make sure that thank you. Going to be in pictures. We want to picture.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, please. Thank you. Is it fun?
Okay, we are ready to fly, right? Will the candidates for the Juris Doctor degree please stand?
In recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, the University of New Hampshire School of Law hereby awards the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
You may be seated. Amanda Jean Abelman. Christopher J. Almeida. Devin Lynn Eyre. Garrett P. Bolio. This way. Leif Anderson Becker. Karen Emma Green Benavides. Shauna P. Bentley. Vincenzo M. Biella. Devin King Bolger. Trevor James Brown. Erin Shane Bucksbaum. Talia Marie Burkhart. Christian M. Burrows. John P. Clark. Benjamin B. Courier. Kara Nicole Chekai. Nicholas G. Danforth. Jenna E. Dean. Lisa Marie DeFranzo. Michelle Lovies Dozier. Kellyanne H. Estrom. Jacqueline Nicole Fisher. Thomas J. Fuller. Taylor Margaret Galliot. Laura Ann Grace Gallagher. Jessica Danielle Hersom. Nicholas D. Higgins. Christine Elizabeth Hilliard. Kerry K. Houlihan. Charles Eric Johansson. William James Kolaski. Kelly Letitia Carnan. Nathan William Kennison Marvin. Timothy Jacques Lachance. Zachary T. Leach. Mackenzie L. Long. Anna Naomi Lukatcher. Tyler S. McDonald. Ryan A. Masters. Colby Ray McCabe. Hugh F. McCann. Brandon A. McCool. Carol Ann McDevitt. Adriana Makula Hansen. Austin M. Mikolaitis. Hilly Rebecca Moore. Catherine J. Muzzy. Amanda Marie Noel. Michael R. Nutter. Allison Elizabeth Pash. Amanda Donahue Rennie. Chelsea Amanda Rommel. Andrew Thomas Saracen. Christopher G. Schott. Joseph Scott. Addison M. Spriggs. Richard John Steele. Kayla Jade Turner. Charles Arneson Wallace. Dodger Wang. William Kent Warren. Kyra Cecilia Wells. Aguo Zhang. Will the Master of Laws in Commerce and Technology candidate please stand?
In recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, the University of New Hampshire School of Law hereby awards the degree of Master of Laws in Commerce and Technology, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations, Ankur.
Ankur Sharma. Will the Master of Laws in Intellectual Property candidates please stand?
In recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, the University of New Hampshire School of Law hereby awards the degree of Master of Laws in Intellectual Property, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Eun-hee Chu. Keijun Gu. Richard A. Howe. Lingrui Lu. Stuti Nag. Vijaya Natarajan. Omalade A. Ogunbiyi. Jaime Wang. Jianshang Logan Yan. Will the Master of Intellectual Property candidates please stand?
In recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, the University of New Hampshire School of Law hereby awards the degree of Master of Intellectual Property with all of the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Poonam Kungralkar. Tatsuhiro Yanagiya. Jing Zhang. Will the Master of International Criminal Law and Justice candidates please stand?
In recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, the University of New Hampshire School of Law awards the degree of Master of International Criminal Law and Justice with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Stephen P. Lee. Nayeli Kalenchi Nieto.
I ask that all graduates now stand for the conferring of degrees by the University of New Hampshire. President Huddleston.
Thank you, Dean Carpenter. By the authority vested in me as President of the University of New Hampshire and in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the courses of study and all requirements pertaining to the degrees awarded, I now confer upon you all of the rights, privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to these degrees. Congratulations.
You did it. Congratulations. You know, in our country, we talk a lot about infrastructure building. Everyone can be seated now. or you guys can keep standing up, whatever you want to do. So in our country, you know, we talk a lot about infrastructure building and development, the need for bridges and roads and power supplies. Well, this doesn't get much attention, but law is essentially the infrastructure of our civil society. In good and in difficult times equally, lawyers work to create and guarantee freedom and democracy. People love lawyer jokes. We all know that. I'm sure we've heard our share of the last year or 3 years. But lawyers make the roads so that the wheels of our society work. They work to safeguard the value of every individual, no matter race, ethnicity, gender, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, socioeconomic background, or ideology. And as people consider new paths, new frontiers in our information age, lawyers help figure out how to get there. You all, lawyers, help figure out how to build the bridges and the roads beyond the frontier, maybe even to the next planet. Here at this law school, we pay particular attention to that. You know, I mentioned earlier that we are kind of the Apple of law schools. We started in a barn, and now we have just rocked the world. From an impact in corporate America as vice presidents of Microsoft, Pepsi, Bayer, Frito-Lay, to government officials in the United States and around the world. Over a third of practicing lawyers in New Hampshire are our graduates. A significant component of the judiciary in New Hampshire is our graduates. We serve as public defenders from New Hampshire to Colorado to Alaska. We, this school that started in a bull barn, is an essential part of social justice and public service in the information age in this state, importantly, and around the world. And today, you all join these ranks. The world needs you. Steve Jobs said that everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it, you can influence it, and you can build your own things that other people can use. The world is changing rapidly. You have the tools now to use the existing legal infrastructure and build and fortify and lay new track where you need to help seek justice, to right wrongs, settle disputes, help somebody innovate, to strategize how to make somebody's dream real. That's powerful stuff. That's bridges and roads and power supplies in the most meaningful way, because it is the framework and the infrastructure of our lives. You know, I mentioned at the beginning of this ceremony today that your parents, I'm sure, looked at you once and wondered what you would be someday. And we are honored here at UNH Law to be such an important part of your becoming. And you're part of our family too now, the UNH Law family. You're graduating now, but you will always be a part of our family, and we will follow you throughout your career, and we're going to be cheering you on. And we're going to rely on you to come back, to give back to the benefit of those who come after you. You know, last fall I walked into this building, and I saw a man outside taking pictures, and I thought, well, that's a little creepy. Somebody should stop and ask him what he's doing. And then I realized that somebody was probably me. So I walked up and introduced myself, and I noticed that nearby there was a woman, and then there were a couple of kids playing in the bushes. And he said he came from Paris, that he had graduated from here many years ago, and that he always wanted to come back and show his wife and his kids where he went to school. He said that ever since he graduated, whenever he goes to a new place or wherever he is in the world, he looks up alumni, and that's how he's gotten clients, that's how he's gotten jobs, that's how he's hired people, and how he has made friends and created networks. So I hope you too will someday decide that Concord, New Hampshire is a better vacation spot than Paris. But whether or not that's the case, what I really hope is that our school and the UNH Law family will play that role in your life. It is a living and breathing relationship, and this, for us all, is more of a beginning than an end. And we're going to be cheering you on, and we all wish you congratulations from the bottom of our hearts. Please join us now for light refreshments in the tent across the bridge.